The whispers hit her first, followed by the stares hundreds, perhaps thousands of eyes fixed on her with predatory intensity. Every pack within traveling distance had gathered to witness Seline's fall. The sound of their judgment swelled, threatening to drown her beneath its weight. The ropes around her wrists cut into her flesh. The light of the courtroom, after days spent in a dark cell, was too bright. Her sick dress, once a symbol of her station, hung in ruins around her shoulders. No time had been allowed to change, not even to salvage that small dignity. The marble floor bit at her bare feet as the guards forced her forward. But it was the weight of those collective stares that truly made each step feel like walking through broken glass. "How far she's fallen," they whispered. "Is this really Luna?" The voices blurred together, but their contempt rang clear. Seline forced herself to keep her chin high, though her legs threatened to buckle. And then she saw him. He sat on his throne like a god descended from Olympus, all raw power and devastating beauty. Leo, her mate, her alpha. His golden hair caught the morning light streaming through stained glass windows, creating a halo effect that made him appear otherworldly. His broad, powerful shoulders remained perfectly straight beneath his tailored jacket, a king passing judgment, unmoved by mere mortal concerns. Even now, even after everything, the sight of him knocked the breath out of her lungs. If she closed her eyes, she could still remember how his lips felt against her throat. How his scent would warm with desire at the mere sight of her, how that liquid gold gaze once held something other than contempt. But his scent now was all aggression. Pine turned to steel, sharp enough to draw blood. It filled the hall, choking her, making her wolf want to bare its throat in submission. The force of his dominance pressed against her skin like a physical weight. The guards forced her to her knees before the daze. The marble was brutal against her bones, but she barely felt it. She couldn't look away from Leo's face, from the cold fury in his eyes. "Luna Seline," his voice carried easily through the hall, rich and commanding, every syllable dripping with authority that made her wolf whimper. "You stand here today amongst our people and allies, in front of your alpha and the alphas who stand with him, to be tried for the crime of murder." The accusation hung in the air like poison. More gasps, more whispers. She felt the horror and judgment rolling off the crowd in waves. "You are accused of poisoning Bella, my consort, and our unborn child. My hair." Leo's voice cracked slightly on the word "here," the only sign that he felt anything at all about this. The whispers exploded into outright murmurs. Seline caught fragments of conversations, each one a dagger to her heart. She was always jealous. Couldn't give him children herself. Probably went mad with envy. They all believed it, the pack, their allies, and worst of all, her mate. Seline truly thinks her capable of this, of murdering an innocent woman and her unborn child. She will not survive this trial. The knowledge settles in her bones like ice. But perhaps that's fitting. She has only one real regret, one that claws at her throat and makes her eyes burn. The knowledge that she has lost her one true love forever. "How do you plead?" Luna. Leo's question cuts through her thoughts like a blade. Seline opens her mouth, tasting copper and tragedy on her tongue, and takes a breath as she prepares to seal her fate. 6 months ago, Seline traces the rim of her third cup of coffee. Now gone cold. 2 hours she has been waiting, 2 long hours. The morning sun streams through the dining room's floor to ceiling windows, casting long shadows across the untouched place, setting across from her mate's place, empty as ever, always empty nowadays. God. Seline can't even remember the last time they've had breakfast together, let alone shared a bed. But she'd specifically requested this meeting this morning, emphasizing its importance, and thought she'd make it pleasant by preparing all of her mate's favorite dishes herself. Leo likes being cooked for, likes the attention she's willing to give him, attention he seems blind to. Can he see? She's even wearing a pink gown, a color she abhors but which Leo finds fetching all for nothing as it turns out. Seline isn't sure why she still tries, only that there is no other option. Perhaps, my Luna. Sarah, her private secretary, approaches with an armful of papers. "The florist needs your final approval on the centerpieces for tonight's diplomatic dinner." Seline straightens in her chair, shoulders back, chin lifted, the perfect picture of composure despite the knot forming in her stomach. "Has there been any word from the alpha?" Sarah hesitates, and that pause tells Seline everything she needs to know. "I'm afraid not, my Luna." "I see." Seline keeps her, even though frustration bubbles up inside her. Show me the arrangements. As Sarah lays out the sketches, a steady stream of staff members flows through the dining room, each seeking the Luna's guidance. Seline handles each inquiry with practiced grace, never letting her mounting anxiety show. The seating chart is especially tricky. One wrong move, putting the wrong people next to each other, and old grudges could flare up. And what of our guest of honor? Seline asks. Has Alpha Michael confirmed his attendance? Sarah's face falls. That's actually what I came to tell you, my Luna. We received word this morning. Alpha Michael sends his regrets but will not be attending. The knot in Seline's stomach tightens. This dinner was arranged specifically to address the growing tensions between their packs. His absence will be seen as a direct slight by Leo, she says. Michael is sending his younger brother in his stead to present the Panther shifter's interests. Sarah replies a diplomatic proxy. Seline closes her eyes briefly. This doesn't bode well. Where is my mate now, Sarah? And please don't spare me. Sarah shifts uncomfortably. The Alpha was last seen heading to the East Wing, tending to Lady Bella. Tending to me, Seline thinks. Of course, what else? She rises from her chair, smoothing non-existent wrinkles from her silk blouse. Then I suppose I'll have to go to him, won't I? She smiles wryly. After all, if the mountain won't come to Muhammad, my Luna, Sarah grimaces. Perhaps I could. Seline's tone is gentle but firm. The alliance with the Panther shifters is crumbling, and if they don't handle tonight's dinner perfectly, they risk losing their oldest and most powerful allies. Their Alpha needs to be reminded of what's at stake. As she strides from the dining room, her staff parts before her like water around a stone. Seline holds her head high, her steps measured and graceful despite the urgency thrumming through her veins. She is Luna of the most powerful wolf shifter pack in the region. She will not run, will not show weakness, even if she has to march straight into her mate's latest indiscretion to do her duty. Keep breathing, stay calm. Show nothing, the mantra echoes in her mind with each step, a rhythm perfected over years of practice. Whatever she finds in the East Wing, she will face it with dignity. It is what she owes her pack, even if her mate has forgotten what they owe each other. Bella's voice carries through the heavy oak door of Leo's office. Light and breathy, Seline's steps don't falter, even as her throat tightens. She dedicates herself to that goal, molding herself into the perfect Luna, the ideal partner for a powerful Alpha. These days, though, it feels like she is the only one who remembers that pledge. The big, strong Alpha needs his strength. Bella's voice teases, followed by girlish laughter. Seline opens the door without knocking. It is her right as Luna, though lately, even that seems forgotten. The scene before her is exactly what she expects, yet it still strikes like a physical blow. Bella perched on Leo's desk, wearing nothing but a familiar blue shirt, his birthday gift. Seline notes with recognition, the one she had tailored in London last spring for him. Bella is holding a strawberry to Leo's lips, and he watches her with undisguised fondness, a look Seline hasn't seen directed at her in years. Another bite. Bella wiggles the fruit playfully. Leo catches her wrist, pulling her onto his lap with a growl. Alpha, she squeals in delight. Seline clears her throat softly. Leo's eyes meet hers, and it's like watching summer turn to winter in the space of a heartbeat. More jarring still than his cold look is how familiar this coldness has become. My Luna, he says, formal, though he doesn't move to push Bella away. Even lounging in his chair with his mistress draped across his lap like a favored pet, Leo emanates the raw power that marks him as Alpha. It rolls off him in waves, pressing against Seline's skin. My Alpha, she greets in turn, forcing her voice steady. He is etchingly familiar and yet a stranger, this man who wears her mate's face but looks through her as though she's little more than a shadow. More than an interruption to his afternoon. Seline finds herself wishing she could match his indifference. Even now, even after everything, her wolf recognizes his dominance, and she feels like an intruder in her own domain. It's absurd. She knows she is Luna, his equal in theory if not in practice, but his stare is so cold. Seline. Bella beams, snuggling closer to Leo. Have you come to join our breakfast? Or breakfast. The words and their implication echo mockingly. But Seline keeps her expression neutral, her posture perfect. Alpha, we need to discuss tonight's arrangements, she replies instead. Leo's jaw tightens. What about them? He asks, nipping at Bella's ear. The matter requires privacy, Seline replies. Bella can be very private, Leo purrs, his hand sliding possessively up the girl's thigh. The scent of his arousal fills the room, sharp and deliberate. This concerns pack business, Seline persists. Alpha business, Leo sighs heavily. Wait for me outside, little one, he says, setting Bella down. The latter pouts. If my alpha commands me to walk the halls in nothing but his shirt, she says, twirling toward the door, the shirt riding up dangerously high. Seline watches Leo track the movement, his expression darkening with desire. The bond between them thrums with his want not for her, never for her anymore. Seline forces herself to breathe through it, steady and measured. About tonight's dinner, she begins, but Leo cuts her off. Was it necessary to send her away like that? He snaps, and Celine's eyes widen. I wasn't aware my mate could no longer speak with me in private, she says quietly. Bella was having a difficult morning, Leo growls. She's had a late night with her friends and is feeling fragile. Are you saying I should have waited because your mistress is hungover? You say that like it's a crime, Leo snarls. Bella's young, she enjoys having fun as she should. I never said she shouldn't. Celine's voice remains steady, even as she thinks of the whispers spreading through the pack about Bella's wild parties. All her public displays make both Alpha and Luna look like fools. You don't have to be so cold to the girl, Leo berates. I am Luna of this pack. I treat her with the same decorum I show everyone else. Well, Bella isn't just anyone, Leo retorts. Special, Seline repeats, incredulous. She's special to me. Leo's expression softens as he meets her eyes, as if daring Seline to say anything. With Bella, I feel things I haven't felt in years. Leo continues, his gaze expectant. She's nothing but sweetness and light. She's fun. He stretches the implication which hangs heavy between them. Bella's fun. Bella's sweet. Seline is not. Is her mate blaming Seline for the distance between them, for the lack of warmth in their marriage, as if he hasn't been the one to repeatedly abandon their bed? Seline swallows it all down. What is there to say after all? He is Alpha, he can do as he pleases, no matter how it reflects on her. Alpha Michael won't be attending tonight, he's sending his brother instead, she says. Leo's expression shifts from disappointment fuels Fury's anger. Of course, he is, he mutters, glaring at the arrogant cats who sit on resources both their packs desperately need. For what? Their precious heritage. He spits the word like a curse. Seline reminds him carefully, given the circumstance, that their caution is understandable. They want to protect what they hold dear. And what is there to protect, Seline? They're a dying breed and would do well to acknowledge it instead of wasting all our time. Seline holds her tongue. The panthers are indeed declining in numbers, their ancient bloodlines thinning. Unlike wolves, they can only produce pure-blooded offspring, with their fated mates a fact that has led to their current predicament. But reminding Leo of this would only fuel his anger. I suppose this is my fault, Leo growls. If I hadn't trusted you to handle the negotiations. His voice trails off bitterly. Like a fool. I'll focus on the emissary tonight, Seline cuts in smoothly. Knowing his accusations will fade once his temper cools. I've already adjusted the seating arrangements. No, Leo barks, his smile turning cruel. I think someone more neutral would be better. Someone young and charming. Celine's stomach drops. What are you saying? I'm saying Bella has more to offer than you might think. She'll handle the emissary tonight. The humiliation burns hot in Celine's chest. To have a mistress barely obnoxed, completely ignorant of pack politics, handle such delicate negotiations is unprecedented. Leo knows this. He knows the pack will talk, but he doesn't care. He wants to humiliate Seline. Leo hates being disappointed, and when things don't go his way, he inevitably lashes out to hurt, to punish. So Seline merely nods, knowing she will need to find a way around this when Leo is reasonable once more. She leaves his office with her head high, her mind swirling with contingency plans. Outside, she finds Bella leaning against the wall, still wearing nothing but Leo's shirt. Took you forever, the girl observes casually. Seline barely spares her a glance. She doesn't have time or anything to say to her mate's mistress. But as she begins to walk away, the girl's voice catches up with her, sugary sweet. Wait up, Seline. Bella calls out. I think you and I need to talk. Celine's diplomatic smile freezes on her face. Bella's familiar tone strikes her like a physical blow. Come on, Seline, Bella says, clasping her hands together. The oversized shirt slips off one shoulder. I've been hoping to talk to you. Just us girls. No one in the pack ever addresses her with such familiarity. To do so isn't just a sign of disrespect, it's a blatant challenge to the pack's hierarchy. And to wolves, hierarchy is everything. One cannot function without clear leadership. Bella, with her conniving smiles and casual demeanor, is doing no less than putting the pack's stability into question. Whether she means to or not remains to be determined. I'm afraid I have preparations to oversee. Seline tries to excuse herself, but Bella isn't about to let her get away. See, that's exactly what I mean, she exclaimed, reaching for Seline's arm. Seline feels the warmth of Bella's hand, soft and tentative, as a maternal instinct stirs within her. She considers gently correcting this breach of protocol, guiding the young woman toward proper behavior, but before she can, Bella's next words shatter that impulse. We barely spend any time together, and it makes me so sad. You and I are practically sisters after all. Seline raises an eyebrow. Sisters? Bella blinks innocently, then beams. Why, of course. Do we not share everything as only true sisters would our mate? Our pack. The sheer audacity of the statement steals Seline's breath. Their mate. Her mind struggles to reconcile the innocent hope shining in Bella's eyes with the boldness of her claim. You cannot truly share a mate, Seline says softly, extracting her hand and striving to maintain her composure. A mating is formed between two people, not three. Now I should really. Bella shakes her head earnestly, leaning closer as if Seline were the one in need of guidance. I know it must be hard, she presses on, lowering her voice to a conspiratorial whisper that feels both intimate and invasive. Being unable to give Leo an heir, dear me, the pressure must be terrible. Bella's face contorts with pity as she squeezes Seline's arm. You're not alone anymore, sister, she soothes sweetly. I can help take that burden from you. Seline swallows a gasp. Surely Bella isn't saying what Seline thinks she is. You may be barren, but I'm not, Bella proclaims brightly, each word striking like a dagger through Seline's chest. I will give Leo an heir, the girl concludes, giving Seline's hand another squeeze. So you don't have to worry, all right. Pain blooms in Seline's chest. Is this calculated cruelty or merely the clumsy enthusiasm of youth? Bella is barely 18. Perhaps she doesn't understand how deeply her words cut. Lady Bella, Seline begins carefully, summoning the patient tone she might use with a wayward pup. Her wolf urges her to snap, to put this presumptuous girl in her place, but Seline pushes that instinct down. I believe there's been a misunderstanding. Should you bear Leo a child, it would be illegitimate and therefore not an heir to the pack. She gentles her voice further, trying to guide rather than wound. Only the Luna can bear an heir, and there can only be one Luna, which is me. And you should remember to address me as such. I can't be Seline, or sister, to you. Do you understand? Apparently, she doesn't. Tears well instantly in Bella's hazel eyes, raw hurt flashing across her features. It makes Seline second-guess her assessment. How cruel had she sounded? My baby would be just as special, just as loved as yours would be. Bella sniffed, making no effort to contain her tears. Her voice cracks on the words, and she wipes at her eyes with the back of her hand. This isn't about love, Seline explains, gentling her tone even further. A part of her wants to comfort the girl, to explain the complexities of pack politics and tradition without causing such obvious distress. But she hesitates, unsure where kindness ends and weakness begins. The alpha would cherish any of his children, but in terms of legitimacy and succession, only the Luna's offspring can inherit his position and authority over the pack. These are our laws, our traditions. Bella sniffles once more, dabbing at her eyes. For a moment, her vulnerability seems so complete that Seline almost reaches for her. Then Bella's lips curve into a small smile that doesn't quite reach her eyes, and she whispers, "We'll see about that." Seline frowns, wondering if she's heard right. She is about to ask Bella to repeat herself when the latter spins on her heels toward Leo's office. "See you tonight, Seline," Bella says, her voice honey-sweet as she emphasizes the name, twirling away. Seline watches her disappear down the corridor, her emotions churning like storm waters. The transformation from wounded child to something else entirely happens so smoothly that she finds herself wondering if she's imagined it. The girl's performance, if it is a performance, had been flawless: the eager smile, the trembling lip. Yet that final smile, that parting shot. Seline presses a hand to her sternum, willing the ache there to subside. Either the girl is dangerously naive or dangerously clever, and Seline isn't sure which possibility worries her more. The moment Selene's hand touches the ornate double doors of the grand ballroom, her wolf's instincts scream danger. Something is wrong. The air itself feels charged with anticipation, an eerie stillness before a storm. She has no choice but to brace that storm, though, and takes in a long breath. The doors swing open, and devisit pairs of eyes snap to Seline at once. The grand ballroom has been transformed for the evening. Crystal chandeliers casting warm light over tables draped in cream silk. Every detail she's personally overseen, but no one is admiring her careful planning. Instead, they are watching her, waiting sharks all of them, hungry for blood. The whispers start like autumn leaves skittering across marble, soft at first, then building. Though guests bow respectfully as she passes, their eyes never leave her, and their voices rise in her wake. The moment she moves beyond them, her emerald silk gown is the picture of propriety, its high neckline and flowing lines suggesting rather than revealing. Yet still they stare, and still they whisper. What are they waiting for? Her heart picks up speed, though she forces her steps to remain measured, elegant. A duchess from a neighboring pack lifts her fan to hide her mouth as she leans toward her companion, both their gazes fixed on Seline with something like mockery. The weight of their attention presses against her skin. Has she forgotten some essential piece of clothing? Is there something in her hair? Then her gaze finds the head table, and the bottom drops out of her stomach. There, on Leo's left, a place that should remain empty in deference to his Luna's position, at his right sits a third chair. And in it, draped across Leo's arm like a lover's fantasy, is Bella. The girl wears pink silk that clings to every curve, practically sitting in Leo's lap. She feeds him morsels from her plate with her fingers while he watches her with undisguised hunger. They look like teenagers at their first dance, not an alpha and his. What is Bella now to warrant such a placement? Seline's steps don't falter though her mind races. This is unprecedented. Mistresses are rarely invited to diplomatic functions, let alone seated beside the alpha. Yet here Bella is, making herself comfortable in a seat of honor. Giggling as she dabs wine from Leo's lips, the whispers grow louder, more pointed. A group of young wolves doesn't even bother to lower their voices as they speculate about what this means for their Luna's position. Seline catches fragments, losing his interest, and probably Baron anyway, that cut like claws. But there's no turning back now. The doors behind her have closed, and distant pairs of eyes watch her slow advance toward the head table. All the shifters in the room are waiting, hungry for her reaction, eager to see how the Luna will handle such a public slight. Through it all, Leo hasn't even bothered to stand in greeting, hasn't so much as glanced in her direction, too absorbed in whatever sweet nothing Bella is whispering in his ear. Seline measures her breaths carefully, knowing everyone in the room can hear her heartbeat if she lets it betray her. Any sign of weakness will reflect poorly not just on her, but on the pack itself. Yet she can't reach her seat without somehow acknowledging this breach of protocol, this deliberate humiliation. They say the Luna of the Silver Wolf pack is as beautiful as she is cold. A voice cuts through her thoughts. I see they were right on both counts. Seline turns, a diplomatic deflection ready on her lips, only to find herself momentarily speechless. The man before her is devastating in his beauty, all lean grace and contained power. Dark waves fall carelessly across his forehead, and his eyes, dear goddess. His eyes are the deep blue of twilight, crinkled at the corners with barely suppressed mischief. He moves with a predator's fluid grace that marks him as something other than wolf. Chat got your tongue. His smirk deepens and Seline finds her composure. Forgive me, sir, but since we've yet to be properly introduced, I'm not quite sure how cold I should be when putting you in your place. His grin brightens as he executes a formal bow, that gleam of amusement never leaving his eyes. Allow me to fix that then, my queen. I'm here on King Meckel's behalf, representing the Panther pack. And please, feel free to always put me in my place in whatever way you see fit. The title choice king rather than alpha confirms what his movements suggest. You must be Jace Dio, she observes, arching an eyebrow. How kind of you to make the trip in your alpha's stead. We are delighted to have you. Delighted. When you were expecting Michael. He laughs, leaning in conspiratorially. People are usually quite miffed at the switch, if I'm being honest. Well, you do seem to enjoy being honest. A smile tugs at her lips despite herself. Jace inclines his head once more, very much so, my queen. I do hope you'll grant me the same courtesy once we're better acquainted. Seline studies him, unable to determine whether his playful tone masks mockery or genuine warmth. She offers a polite nod. Well, I look forward to getting more acquainted, sir. If you'll excuse me. She moves to step away but suddenly remembers her predicament. Leo still hasn't acknowledged her presence, and Bella's tinkling laugh carries across the room. In a split-second decision, Seline turns back to Jace. Come to think of it, how would you like to get better acquainted now? Her tone makes it less a question and more a royal command. Jace's eyebrow lifts as his gaze flicks briefly toward Leo before returning to her. His smile holds understanding and something that might be admiration. Why, my queen? I'd be honored. He extends his hand with exquisite courtesy, though that dangerous sparkle still dances in his eyes. Seline smirks, hiding her relief. With a subtle gesture, she signals for her chair to be moved beside Jace's. The servants comply and she feels Leo's gaze from across the table. So now he deigns to look at her, she thinks. Their eyes meet briefly, his expression is unreadable, distant, before he offers a perfunctory nod of greeting. All the while, his hand settles possessively on Bella's thigh. Seline's wolf paces restlessly beneath her skin. What game is Leo playing? Parading the girl around like this? He's had other mistresses in the past, of course a harsh truth Seline has had no choice but to accept. However, those past affairs have been brief, a night or two at most. But Bella arrived months ago, and Leo only seems to grow more devoted to her by the day, forsaking his duties to indulge her every whim. What can Seline do? Leo is alpha, his word is law, and his desires as well. But she is his mate, and surely this continued affront can't go on. Surely her position, her feelings should matter a little bit as well. Once everyone is served, Leo raises his glass. Distinguished guests, his voice carries across the hushed room. We are honored tonight to host an esteemed member of the Panther Shifters pack. The honor is mine. Jace replies smoothly, and I'm particularly delighted that the Alpha has lent me his Luna for the evening. A fresh wave of whispers ripples through the crowd. Leo's jaw clenches, though his smile remains fixed. As is our tradition, he continues, we'll begin with this evening's opening speech and end of evening address. Seline shifts in her seat, mentally reviewing the careful words she's prepared. But before she can rise, Leo turns to Bella, taking her hand with exaggerated gentility. Darling. The pain is swift and sharp like a blade between her ribs. Seline's nails dig into her palms beneath the table as Bella simmers under Leo's fond gaze. Yes, she squeals. Bella ducks her head in a parody of demure grace before beaming like a child given a special treat. Welcome, everyone. We're so happy to see you all here tonight to celebrate with us. Excuse me, Jace's voice cuts through the room. Stunned silence blankets the room, smooth as silk. Shouldn't the Luna of the pack give the speech? The room erupts in murmurs as if they've all been waiting for permission. Questions boom, protests rise. Fair Seline is caught between mortification and dread as their gazes dart between her and Leo, hungry for scandal. Leo rises slowly, keeping Bella's hand firmly in his. Before the speech, there's an announcement to make. Seline's stomach plummets, but she lets none of it show. The silence that follows Leo's announcement is deafening. Seline's heightened senses pick up every minute reaction in the room, the sharp intake of breath from older pack members, the excited whispers of younger ones. The subtle shifts in body language as allegiances realign before her eyes. Her wolf bristles beneath her skin, recognizing the threat to their position even as Seline maintains her perfect mask of composure. As many of you know, Leo begins, his voice carrying easily through the stunned silence. Bella has become very dear to me. Tonight, I wish to officially recognize her as my consort. The scent of shock ripples through the crowd, a sharp, acrid tang that makes Seline's nostrils flare. But beneath it lies something worse: anticipation. The metallic taste of opportunity hangs heavy in the air as pack members calculate what this means for their own positions. Bella basks under the attention, cheeks flushed with champagne and triumph. I'm so honored, she gushes, managing to sound both innocent and victorious at once. I promise to serve the pack with all my heart. I expect everyone to treat Bella with the respect her new position demands, Leo adds, his eyes sweeping the room before landing meaningfully on Seline. She meets his gaze evenly, though her wolf howls in protest. The position of consort hasn't existed in their pack for generations, not since the Dark Ages when alphas kept harems. To resurrect it now and for this slip of a girl, but Seline merely inclines her head in acknowledgement, the perfect picture of grace under fire. Of course, Alpha, she murmurs, loud enough for those nearest to hear. Whatever pleases you. The tension in the room shifts, breaking like water finding its level. The pack begins to adapt to this new reality. Already, Seline can see the younger wolves gravitating toward Bella, drawn by her youth and apparent access to power. The girl holds court like a natural, giggling and twirling between her new admirers. The new consort seems to be taking it well. Jace observes beside her. His voice pitched low enough that only she can hear. If you wish to pay your respects, don't let me stop you, Seline replies smoothly. I said nothing about paying respects. Jace's lips curl into that knowing smirk. Twilight eyes study her face as he adds, though I wonder if your alpha realizes exactly what kind of precedent he's setting. Before Seline can respond, the music swells, and couples begin to fill the dance floor. Bella is at the center of it all, her laughter ringing out like bells over the melody. Movements more suited to a nightclub than a diplomatic function fill the room as Leo's voice washes over Seline like summer thunder. Her wolf stirs instinctively at the proximity of their alpha. She hadn't sensed him approach, a testament to how focused she'd been on maintaining her composure. His scent hits her then, that familiar blend of pine and raw power that once made her knees weak. Now it's tainted with traces of Bella's perfume and the sharp spice of his earlier arousal for the girl. He extends his hand, and Seline's gaze catches on the strong lines of his fingers, remembering how they once traced her skin with reverence. Would you honor me with a dance? The invitation is a command, they both know it, just as they both know every eye in the room is on them, hungry for any sign of discord. Seline places her hand in his, allowing him to lead her to the floor. His hand settles at her waist, familiar yet strange. They move together with the ease of long practice, though the space between them feels vast. The arrangements tonight are exquisite, he says conversationally. Though you didn't have to exile yourself to Jace's end of the table. This dinner is primarily for the panthers, if you recall. She responds, keeping her voice light. We would both do well to focus on improving that relationship tonight. She doesn't add that Leo purposely ignoring Jace, as he asked her to dance, hadn't particularly helped their cause. Her mate's fingers tighten slightly at her waist. And what do you make of our feline friend? He asks, his voice smooth and calculating. He's difficult to read, Seline admits. Not as openly hostile as Michael, which is something at least. Well, Jace isn't the alpha, is he? He probably knows better than his brother how he should behave. Seline holds back a grimace. Leo's blatant annoyance with the panthers really isn't helping. Why is she always the one playing ambassador between her mate and everyone else? It has nothing to do with power, she replies, recalling the dangerous grace of Jace's movements, the knowing gleam in his blue eyes. That man did not lack power in the least. Besides, she adds to Leo, I'm not exactly sure he knows how to behave. He seems to have trouble taking anything seriously, if I'm being honest. Her mate's gaze meets hers. Did you find him attractive? He asks, something dangerous lurking behind his velvety tone. The question catches Seline off guard. You haven't noticed, she replies, purposely avoiding thinking of Jace's lips, which as they were had been quite pleasing indeed. Leo's laugh holds no warmth. The perfect Luna as always. Tell me, do you ever let that mask slip? Did you expect anything less? She challenges softly. His attention drifts to where Bella dances, her movements growing more provocative with each glass of champagne. The scent of his arousal spikes sharp and immediate. She's so young, he murmurs, more to himself than to Seline. So innocent, completely oblivious of her effect on men, of the power she holds. Seline thinks of Bella's calculated smile and wonders just how oblivious she truly is. Seline noticed Leo earlier in the hallway but chose to hold her tongue, letting him believe what he wished. As the music drew to a close, Leo's lips brushed her forehead, a gesture that felt more like marking territory than affection. Thank you for the dance, my Luna, he said. Seline dipped into a perfect curtsy, though the formal gesture left a bitter taste in her mouth. My alpha, she replied. Just as he was about to walk away, Leo turned back, giving Seline a strange, assessing glance. You can be quite oblivious yourself, Seline, he said, Remember that. His expression was unreadable, and before Seline could decipher it, Bella's laughter rang out again, pulling his attention. Leo was gone, drawn inexorably toward her. If Seline had known what was about to unfold moments later, she might have realized there would be no keeping Leo from Bella at all. Abandoned by Leo, Seline straightened her shoulders and focused on the task at hand, working the room, soothing ruffled feathers, and ensuring tonight's shocking announcement didn't destabilize the pack's delicate political balance. I assure you, Lady Montgomery, the trade routes through our territory remain as secure as ever, she soothed, addressing the elderly Alpha's concerns with practiced grace. Of course, dear, Lady Montgomery patted her arm, though her tone carried doubt. One does wonder, with your Alpha so preoccupied. My mate trusts me to handle such matters, Seline replied smoothly. What is a Luna if not her Alpha's partner in all things? She moved through the crowd with careful precision, each conversation a delicate dance. The Luna's composure is remarkable, someone whispered nearby, especially given the circumstances. Seline pretended not to hear, though her wolf bristled at their pity. Instead, she focused on Baron Jace, whose support they'd need for the upcoming territory negotiations. Your pack's reputation for strength remains unquestioned, she assured him, noting how his shoulders relaxed slightly. These recent changes are merely internal adjustments. Oars passed in this careful navigation of politics and pride. Seline's feet ached in her heels. But she didn't let it show. She was almost satisfied that she'd contained the worst of the political fallout when movement on the dance floor caught her attention. The sight stopped her mid-sentence. Leo and Bella danced, her body plastered against his, her head tilted back against his shoulder, lips parted, eyes half closed. The scent of their mutual desire carried across the crowded room. Seline doubted anyone would dare approach the Alpha, now not when it was clear where his focus lay this evening. But to her surprise, Jace approached Leo without hesitation. Soon the two men exchanged words and walked off together, likely to speak privately. It was back to relationship building for Seline. To the Northern Pack's beta, she offered reassurances about their timber contracts. To the Southern Alliance's emissary, she dropped subtle hints about future cooperation that made his eyes gleam with interest. Another hour passed, and then, my Luna, Sarah appears at her side, wringing her hands. There's a situation that requires your attention. Not now, Sarah. I'm in the middle of damage control, Seline replies, turning back to the trade minister she had been reassuring. But my Luna, it's about Lady Bella. The Alpha specifically requested, Seline sighs. Is she drunk again? No, my Luna. Sarah flushes scarlet, unable to finish. Whatever it is can wait 5 minutes. I need to finish this conversation. But even as the words leave her mouth, she notices the trade minister's eyes widen in shock, fixed on something behind her. The scent of aggressive male desire hits her nose just as she turns. 2 Alphas from neighboring packs have Bella corralled between them, their postures predatory. The girl seems oblivious to the danger, giggling as she sways between them. Nearby stands the man Seline assumes is her bodyguard. She's seen as tall. Blonde frame escorting Bella before, noted his slightly crooked nose and professional stance. Right now, though, his dark eyes are glazed with barely contained need. You smell divine, little one of the Alpha's growls, leaning too close. The guard's answering snarl carries more possessiveness than professional concern. Step back, he warns, but his own scent betrays him. That's when Seline catches it beneath the champagne and perfume, an unmistakable sweetness that makes her blood run cold. The scent of impending heat, rich and cloying, now impossible to ignore. Around them, other wolves are noticing too. Nostrils flare, pupils dilate, postures shift from casual to predatory. Whispers erupt like wildfire. Is she actually in heat here? How dare she come to a diplomatic function? She knows better. The elder wolves begin shepherding their younger packmates toward the exits, shooting disapproving glares in Bella's direction. A heat in public is more than just a fox pass. It's dangerous, risking territorial disputes, challenge fights, even blood feuds if unmated Alphas lose control. How had Seline not noticed earlier? More importantly, how had Bella herself not noticed? The signs of an impending heat are impossible to miss: the fever that builds for days, the heightened emotions, the way scents become overwhelmingly intense. Every young wolf is thoroughly educated about their cycles precisely to prevent situations like this. Unless unless the girl is too young and inexperienced to recognize them. Seline moves without conscious thought, her authority radiating from every step. "Bella," she calls out. The crowd parts before her like water. "There's an urgent matter we must discuss." She reaches for the girl's arm, but Bella jerks away. "I'm having fun." Bella giggles as her guard tries to guide her away, though she leans into his touch easily. Her skin is flushed, eyes glassy with more than just champagne. "Everyone wants to dance with me," she gushes. The scandal of it all hangs thick in the air. Somewhere in the crowd, Seline hears a mother urgently whisper to her daughter about that kind of female who would deliberately enter heat in public to attract attention. Attention. Another elder wolf is already drafting a formal letter of complaint in his head, she can tell from his muttering. Bella seems oblivious to it all, the way she's violating every social code their society holds dear, the political nightmare she's creating. She just giggles, pressing closer to her guard, whose eyes have gone wolf gold with instinct. One of the unmated alphas smirks, taking a step closer. "The lady wants to stay," he growls, a predatory glint in his eyes. Clearly he isn't trying very hard to fight his instincts. Idiot. Doesn't he realize if he so much as touches Bella, Leo will have his head if not his entire pack? Seline draws herself up to her full height, letting her power flow freely now. "The lady," she snaps, "is coming with me." Now, the temperature in the room seems to drop several degrees. Even the young, unmated alphas by Bella's side seem to freeze in place. "Seline, why do you always have to be so?" Bella begins, but Celine's glare silences her. "I am your Luna," she says, quiet but carrying. "And you will come with me this instant, or I will have you carried." A young male bristles, pushing closer. "We don't take orders from—" Celine's laugh is cold as winter. "You don't take orders from me. In my territory at my mate's gathering." Her wolf prowls just beneath her skin, and she lets them see it in her eyes for a moment. No one moves. Then, one by one, the alphas lower their eyes, tilting their heads. "My apologies, Luna," one of them mutters. Only Bella's guard remains rigid, his protective stance more possessive by the second. "She's my charge," he growls. "I'll escort her." "You will step aside," Seline corrects him. "Your judgment is compromised. I would never, her scent betrays her." Celine's voice could freeze flame. Two guards materialize at her command. The guards' muscles bunch as if to resist, but Bella's needy whimper at the display of dominance seems to shock him back to awareness. "Restrain him," Seline orders discreetly. Then Seline wraps an arm around Bella's waist, supporting the girl who suddenly seems unsteady on her feet. How could she not have recognized the symptoms? A first heat is impossible to miss the fever, the increased sensitivity, the way scents become overwhelming. Unless this isn't her first. Unless Bella had lied about more than just her age. But that's a thought for later. Right now, Seline has a crisis to manage. Seline guides Bella through the halls, fighting waves of discomfort as the girl's heat scent grows stronger. It's cloying, almost sickeningly sweet. Deliberately so. She realizes with a twist in her gut. The scent carries markers of submission and fertility, specifically designed to appeal to Leo's alpha nature. "You've ruined everything," Bella complains, stumbling slightly. "Everyone was having such a wonderful time until you got jealous about Leo's announcement." "You're in heat," Seline cuts in flatly. "If I'd left you there another minute, we'd have had a riot on our hands." Bella freezes mid-step. "What? No, that's impossible. I can't be." Her eyes go wide with realization. Genuine shock registers on her face. "You're lying," she whines. "You did this to embarrass me." Seline suppresses the urge to shake some sense into the girl. Having dealt with enough newly turned wolves, she knows aggression will only make things worse. Females in heat, especially sensitive ones like Bella, require gentle handling. "Sarah," she addresses her assistant. "Change your clothes, then find the alpha discreetly. We don't need your scent carrying traces of—" She gestures vaguely at Bella, who has started to whimper. By the time they reach Bella's chambers, the girl is burning with fever, her earlier belligerence melting into pitiful moans. Seline helps her out of her dress, knowing how unbearable fabric can feel against heat-sensitive skin. "Since this is your first heat," she explains gently, "and you're unmated, it falls to your alpha to decide who will help you through it." "No one." Bella gasps, grabbing Seline's wrist with surprising strength. "No one but Leo. He's the only one. He loves me above all others, he told me so. Her eyes lock onto Selene's, fever bright but triumphant, before Seline can respond. The door crashes open. Leo fills the doorway, his presence a storm of protective fury. What happened? He demands, eyes flashing gold. Why wasn't she being watched? The accusation in his voice is clear. This is somehow Seline's fault. Bella whimpers high and needy, and Leo's entire demeanor shifts. He's at her side in an instant, gathering her close, murmuring soft reassurances. "Sh, little one. I'm here now." His protective gestures quickly turn hungry as Bella's heat scent spikes. She arches into him with a desperate sound, and Leo grows deep and possessive. His hands slide down her bare shoulders as he promises to take care of her, to give her everything she needs. The wave of raw desire that crashes through their mate bond nearly brings Seline to her knees. She turns to flee, protocol be damned. The sight of her mate responding to another wolf's heat is more than she can bear. "Seline," Leo's voice stops her at the door. He's shielding Bella from view with his body, his eyes wild with barely contained need. No one comes near these chambers until further notice. No one. She manages a nod before escaping into the hall, her mate's arousal still burning through their bond like acid in her veins. The walk to her quarters passes in a blur. Seline barely makes it inside before her composure cracks, a sob catching in her throat. She presses her forehead against the cool wood of the door, fingers splayed across its surface as she fights for control. A soft knock makes her jerk upright. "My Luna," Sarah's worried voice carries through the door. Seline draws a steadying breath. "Come in." Sarah enters cautiously, concern written across her features. But Seline is already rebuilding her walls, piece by piece, tucking away the betrayal and hurt behind her usual mask of calm. "What is it?" The guests. "My Luna, they..." Sarah hesitates. "With both you and the Alpha absent, things are getting out of hand. Some are demanding explanation. Others are making threats about broken protocols swirl in the air, and the more aggressive ones cause Seline's head to jerk up. Of course, it all falls to her again. "Should I start clearing the ballroom?" Sarah asks tentatively. "Absolutely not," Seline commands. "Every person down there represents vital alliances, trade agreement, political connections. We cannot afford to slight a single one." She moves toward her dressing room with renewed purpose. "We must make them forget this incident. Remind them instead of who we are, and what they stand to lose should they forget themselves in gossip." "As my Luna commands," Sarah says, inclining her head. Seline adjusts the fall of midnight blue silk against her skin. The new dress is a calculated risk. The neckline dips just low enough to draw attention, the fabric clinging to her in ways her usual conservative choices don't. Her tactic works. The ballroom hushes as she enters. Slowly, she walks toward the center of the room and lifts her champagne glass as the remaining murmurs fade to silence. They're staring again. Good. Tonight needs to end on a strong note rather than on Bella's unfortunate incident. "Distinguished guests," Seline's voice carries clear across the room. "I want to thank you all for joining us on this momentous evening." She allows her gaze to sweep the crowd, meeting eyes deliberately. "Our pack has always valued its alliances above all else. In times of change, it is these bonds between us that remain our greatest strength." She pauses, letting the weight of her next words settle like steel beneath silk. "And we do not forget those who stand with us, just as we do not forget those who might question our strength in moments of transition." The threat lands precisely where she intends it. Several of the more vocal critics from earlier shift uncomfortably on their feet. "To our continued prosperity," she concludes, raising her glass, "and to the bright future we will build together." The applause that follows is enthusiastic, if slightly nervous. Rather well played on Seline's part, she tells herself. But as the clapping dies down, though the stares remain, her heart sinks. Traditionally, the Alpha and Luna's last dance marks the evening's end. Obviously, her Alpha isn't here, so now Seline looks like a fool once more. Dear God, how is she going to get out of this one? She might have thought more about it if she'd had the time, but a familiar voice cuts through her thoughts. "You'll be needing a new partner." Jace cuts an impressive figure in his perfectly tailored black suit. His blue eyes, framed by thick lashes that would make any woman envious, gleam with something that might be mischief as he extends one elegant hand toward her. The crowd's collective intake of breath is audible. "How fortunate that you're available," Seline replies carefully. His fingers close around hers, long and elegant, yet marked with the subtle caluses of a warrior. Her wolf stirs at the contact, cooler than a wolf's should be. A reminder that he's something else entirely. Something different. The first notes of music swell as he draws her into position, his other hand settling lightly but deliberately at her waist. As the dance begins, Seline finds herself noticing details she shouldn't: how dark waves of hair fall rakishly across his forehead or the elegant line of his throat. "Shall we discuss the true reason why your brother couldn't make it tonight?" she murmurs. "I rather thought the exchange of resources we've been offering your pack would have been enough to entice him." Jace lets out a genuine laugh. "And here I thought we'd be exchanging empty pleasantries. I see you don't waste any time, my queen." He guides her through a turn that brings them chest to chest. "Well, I don't know how much time you'll be affording us," Seline retorts, swaying to her right. Jace catches her mid-twirl, moving with the fluid grace of his leopard nature. His steps are precise yet effortless, and only many years of practice allow Seline to follow without looking a fool. "I'll be here a while, I assure you." The leopard smirks, his smile turning enigmatic. Around them, the crowd watches with barely concealed fascination as her partner executes a perfect dip. Seline hears a couple of gasps, acknowledging the controlled strength in the arms supporting her. "I must apologize for my mate's absence," she manages. "He'll be available again soon, will he?" Jace's voice drops lower. "Somehow I doubt that given the situation he's attending to." Seline tenses at the implication, which Jace notices immediately. His scent envelops her, then soothing and apologetic. It is different from a wolf's scent, no forest or earth, but something darker, sandalwood and midnight air, with an underlying note of danger that makes her wolf sit up and take notice. "Don't misunderstand, my queen," he says. "I couldn't care less what your alpha gets up to. He's not the one I find interesting here." The words catch her off guard, and the devastating half-smile playing at the corners of his mouth doesn't help. "Truth be told," he adds as the music begins to fade, "I find your alpha's new consort even less interesting than he is. His infatuation with her truly is baffling." He brings Seline's hand to his lips. The kiss is barely a whisper against her skin, yet it feels like a brand. Their dance ends, and with it, the silence around them becomes absolute. Seline is hyper-aware of how every eye in the room is fixed on this moment. Jace notices too and smirks. "On behalf of the Leopard shifters, I must express our deepest appreciation to Luna Seline and her pack for this extraordinary evening," he says, turning to address the crowd. "Your hospitality and grace are unmatched." The applause that follows is thunderous. Seline maintains her composure, though she can feel the weight of speculation in every gaze. Has she achieved what she wanted? To make everyone forget the scandal of Bella's heat? Is her pack's reputation salvaged? Only time will tell. "Ladies and gentlemen," Seline announced, grateful. The sweet scent of late-blooming jasmine fills the night air as guests filter onto the terraces. Seline, however, finds herself distracted by a different aroma, sandalwood and midnight air, that grows stronger as Jace moves to stand beside her. She doesn't turn to look at him, but her entire body hums with awareness of his presence. Even the slightest shift of his weight makes her wolf's ears perk forward. "You're still here," she observes, proud of how steady her voice sounds. "Where else would I be?" His tone carries that familiar hint of amusement, as if it's permanently etched into his demeanor. Above them, the first firework explodes, painting the garden in gold. Seline seizes the moment to steer the conversation toward safer ground. "Leo had hoped to introduce you to his sister, Helen." "Ah, yes," Jace says, his low laugh rich and smooth. "That particular Trojan horse. My brother didn't want her, and neither do I." The bluntness startles a snort of laughter from her before she can stop it. "Are you really so opposed to wolf shifters?" "It's not about being wolves," he replies as another explosion illuminates his sharp profile. Dangerous beauty radiates from him like a living thing. It's about true mates. Leopards need them, unlike other shifters, to bear more leopard shifters. She watches colors rain down from above, summarizing aloud. "So it's true. There's no hope of one being born from a non-fated pair." "Precisely," Jace confirms, his smile tight. "And my dear brother is adamant about maintaining the royal bloodline. His devotion to tradition truly is exhausting." Seline weighs her next words carefully. She knows firsthand how Leo's attempts to force this issue backfire spectacularly with leopards. What are the chances of your brother finding the one? She asks lightly. Slim to none, Jace admits. Though we do have certain advantages in our search. Advantages, Seline repeats, puzzled. What I just said, Jace quips as another firework bathes his face in blue light. Seline frowns inwardly at his calculated vagueness but holds back her irritation. Must be difficult, she muses, waiting for someone you might never meet. Better that than to mate with someone unfaithful who shares another's heat, Jace retorts. The words strike her like a physical blow, sharply reminding her of what Leo is doing now and with whom. Her mood soars instantly, and she struggles to find something polite to say. Instead, she decides to leave, but Jace catches her wrist. If you felt venom in those words, he tells her softly. It wasn't aimed at you. It was meant for the fool who doesn't know how to properly honor his mate. As Seline stills, conflicted between annoyance at his judgmental tone and an understanding rooted in Leopard culture, their strict adherence to propriety and tradition. Our marriage was arranged, she hears herself explaining. Neither the Alpha nor I had much of a say in it, and as a result, our union always lacked a certain. She makes the mistake of meeting Jace's gaze and loses her train of thought entirely. Certain what he murmurs, heat creeps up her neck. Well, passion, I suppose, she sighs. Jace's considering nod is almost comical. Well, some men just don't know how to please a woman. The laugh bursts out before she can stop it. It has nothing to do with that, she protests. Oh, don't try to deny it. Now that you've laughed, I know the truth. Jace's grin is infectious. Truth is important between friends, my queen. And we are going to be friends, aren't we? You and I do hope you'll feel comfortable being honest with me. Seline holds back a smile, not wanting to seem too eager. Though she is thriving for friendship Ella, a friendship that could help her avoid wars. If it pleases you, I suppose I could try, she says. Jace's smirk turns downright cat-like. Lovely, he purrs. How about we exchange truths right now, you start. Why should I start, she protests. Because I'm shy. Obviously, Jace replies, well aware no one would ever think him shy. Seline rolls her eyes, marking a pause. What can she say that's neither too revealing nor thin enough to feel like an excuse? If Jace sincerely seeks her friendship, she should play along, though not giving him any tactical advantage either. Any time, Jace jokes, wiggling his brows. Whenever you're ready. I'm thinking, Seline. For so long that doesn't seem very genuine. Jace pouts. Friends act genuine. Fine, Seline interrupts. I was grateful you asked me to dance earlier. How's that? She marks a pause, noting the surprise marking his features. But before he can say anything, she adds, and I wasn't grateful because I was hoping to speak diplomacy, although I hope we do get to that. I was grateful because, as you must have guessed, with my mate being absent, Jace interrupts by briefly grasping onto her fingers. When he lets go, not a second later, hers feel cold to Seline. Your turn now, she says rather awkwardly. Share your truth. There is a small pause, and then, right on cue, Jace clears his throat dramatically. Well, in that case, my queen, I must confess I find fireworks rather tacky. Seline's eyes snap back to his face immediately. Is he joking? Here she goes. Sharing an intimate thought, and the best he can come up with in return is mentioning fireworks. That wasn't much of a truth, she complains affronted. Jace's laugh rings out bright across the garden, drawing curious glances. It's such a delighted sound. Seline finds she doesn't mind as much as she should. For the first time all evening, if not in years, something feels real. She'd forgotten what that felt like. She hopes she forgets it again soon. One could grow dangerously used to it. In the sky above, another explosion of light and color illuminates the night. Unknown to all, Bella has less than 6 months to leave. The morning sun lights up the castle gardens as Seline walks between the rose bushes. The air smells sweet from the flowers, mixed with something more exciting, sandalwood and night air. She can't help but smile. Fancy meeting you here, my queen. Jace leans against a marble column, looking impeccable as always in his perfectly tailored suit. His dark blue eyes glimmer with mischief as he gazes at her. Indeed, Seline replies, rolling her eyes. What an unexpected surprise. Almost as unexpected as yesterday morning, and the morning before that, and every morning for the past 2 months. His grin widens, smug and self-assured. Pure coincidence, I assure you, though I can't help but notice you keep showing up as well. Despite herself, Seline smiles. These encounters have become the highlight of her days over the past 2 months, a fact she avoids dwelling on while Leo remained occupied with Bella during her heat. In that time, Seline strengthened ties with the Leopard pack through their charming representative. Beneath his jokes and humor, she's learned to see the truth, appreciating the layers hidden behind his playful demeanor. "You seem lost in thought this morning," Jace remarks, walking beside her. "Contemplating my many charms," she quips back. "Contemplating your many deflections, more like," she corrects, though there's no bite to her words. Having him so close makes her skin tingle in a way she tries hard to ignore. Just as she pretends not to notice how intoxicating, he smells a dangerous blend of wild animal and untapped possibility that stirs something deep within her wolf. "Speaking of deflections," Jace says smoothly, "what will people say when they see their Luna smiling so much at a mere diplomatic envoy?" "The rumors are already quite creative." Seline's smile falters slightly. "The whispers have grown louder. Everyone speculates about what might be going on between her and Jace." Surprisingly, Leo seems oblivious. After emerging from Bella's room, he thanked Seline for maintaining diplomatic relations, though she suspects his gratitude stemmed more from his time with Bella than any appreciation for her efforts. "How is your brother?" she asks, steering the conversation elsewhere. Jace's expression shifts subtly. The real reason Michael missed that important dinner 2 months ago wasn't political, he was ill. Few know this, and Seline has kept the secret. Understanding why the Leopards wouldn't want to appear weak. "Michael." Jace begins, his usually smooth voice faltering ever so slightly. She can smell his worry. "Whatever support your pack needs," Seline says softly, touching his arm. "You shall have it." "Surely not from your darling mate," Jace his smile returning but failing to reach his eyes. "That alpha has been remarkably absent from our negotiations. Though, I suppose he has his hands full." She hears the critique beneath his tone. The idea of an alpha favoring someone else over his mate clearly rankles Jace. It blinds him to anything positive about Leo. "You have my full support," she says firmly, emphasizing the word friend. "A friend," Jace muses, his smile turning teasing. Something in his gaze makes her breath catch. "And here I was hoping I'd earned a promotion to something more by now." "Something more." She raises an eyebrow as Jace steps closer. "Surely I can aim for the position of best friend by now," he says lightly. "And what did you think I meant, my queen?" Seline laughs, trying to ignore how her heart jumps. "You're ridiculous. No wonder your brother sent you here. He must have needed a break from your endless jokes." She regrets the words immediately when Jace's smile dims. "Jace," she touches his arm again, gentle but firm. "If you need to go home, the trade talks can wait. Family comes first." For a moment, real emotion crosses his face, thankfulness, fear, and something else she can't quite name. But before she can ask more, she hears multiple heels clicking on stone, making her wolf bristle. She knows that sound, a hunting party closing in. "Oh my!" Bella's voice rings out, dripping with fake surprise. "I didn't expect to find anyone here." Seline turns to see Bella walking toward them with her usual group of ladies, in waiting spread out behind her in a perfect line. Not a hair out of place. Bella looks especially lovely, her eyes wide with manufactured innocence as she takes in the scene before her. "Well, where did you think we'd been then?" "Alpha's consort." Jace drawls, something in his tone making Bella's smile falter slightly. She recovers, the sound of her laugh grating against Seline's heightened senses. "Oh, the alpha has been so appreciative of his Luna's hard diplomatic work." Bella gushes, though her tone drips with insincerity. "Though I can't help but wonder why these endeavors must take place here, of all places." The ladies in waiting lean forward like vultures scenting weakness. One of them, Fiona, Seline recalls, picks up her cue immediately. "Isn't this where lovers traditionally meet for their secret rendezvous?" The accusation hangs in the air like poison. 2 months ago, no one would dare insult their Luna so blatantly, but Bella's rise has emboldened them. "Some might think that," Bella adds, her voice dripping with false sympathy. "And I know better. Our Luna would never do something so desperate." Her eyes lock onto Seline's. "Would you, dear sister?" Seline's wolf surges forward at the familiar form of disrespect, demanding she put this upstart pup in her place, but centuries of protocol hold her back. My. Jace's voice cuts through the tension like silk over steel. "You seem remarkably well informed about lovers' meeting spots." Personal experience. Fiona stammers, blushing. Bella clasps her hands to her chest, though irritation flashes in her eyes. Have we offended you? Fiona meant nothing. Perhaps, Seline suggests, Fiona should think before speaking. Nothing, Bella interjects, turning to Jace and reaching for his arm. Tell me about your pack, she gushes. I've never met a leopard shifter. Fascinating. Something possessive coils in Seline's chest as Bella flutters her lashes at him. First lesson about leopards. Jace's voice drops dangerously. We don't appreciate strangers touching. Bella jerks back, shocked at the rejection. My Luna, protests, looking at Seline. Surely you won't let him speak to her that way when she's so precious to our alpha. I'm not Jace's Luna, Seline cuts in, steel in her tone. Forgotten pack dynamics flash in her gaze as it pins Fiona. Strange, isn't it? The alpha trusts you to escort someone so precious. Fiona pales, remembering her place. Turns to Bella, hoping she's recovered from her recent ordeal. Heats can be draining, she remarks. The mention of Bella's very public heat causes her cheeks to flush crimson. For once, the girl seems at a loss for words. If you'll excuse us, Seline continues smoothly, we have diplomatic matters to attend to. Good day, Alpha's consort ladies. She sweeps past them. Jace falling into step beside her. His scent carries approval and something warmer, something she chooses not to analyze. Once they're safely out of earshot, Jace's usual playful demeanor fades. I didn't realize the rumors about us had gotten quite so pointed, he says, his lips twisting wryly. Now we know their source, Seline replies evenly, though her mind races. Bella's reaction just now revealed more than mere jealousy, it showed confidence. The kind that came from knowing one's position was secure. I'll speak to Leo about this, Jace declares, his voice carrying an edge she rarely hears. This behavior toward you is unacceptable. No, Seline touches his arm briefly. That would only make things worse. Leo would blame me for embarrassing his consort and paint our relationship as inappropriate. We can't risk the diplomatic progress we've made. Jace studies her face for a long moment before inclining his head. As always, my queen proves wiser and more measured than I. Seline manages a small smile. She's just a child acting out, she tells him. She cannot harm me. She holds on to that thought through all her meetings and duties that day, through all the small fires that need putting out. She's still holding on to it when evening falls and Leo's birthday celebration brings shocking news that changes everything. News that shatters the last pieces of Seline's carefully built world and sets into motion events leading up to Mi's death. The Grand Plaza Hotel stands tall against the dark sky, its lights glowing like gold stars against white marble and shiny windows. Seline waits at the entrance in her emerald green silk dress, which looks almost dark against the warm light pouring out from inside. The sounds of music and laughter drift into the night air. She smells Leo before she sees him, a mix of pine trees, power, and something else. He's angry. And then he appears, impatient and quick, his suit hugging his broad shoulders tightly, his gaze dark and impenetrable. We need to discuss your behavior this morning, he says immediately. Seline straightens her back. My behavior? Bella was quite upset. Leo's jaw tightens. She came to me in tears, speaking of your hostility. I was not hostile, Seline replies calmly. No, his eyes narrow. You just stood by while that leopard insulted her. I can hardly control Jace's actions. Ah, yes, Jace. Leo's smile isn't really a smile at all. I've been hearing interesting rumors about you too. Seline feels her face grow hot, but keeps her gaze steady. Rumors started by your consort. No doubt. Don't be ridiculous. Leo waves his hand dismissively, as if swatting away a fly. As if Jace would ever be interested in you. He's young. Full of Leo looks her up and down, making his thoughts clear. The words hit Seline like punches, but she refuses to show it. If you have a point to make, Alpha, make it. Her voice is firm. My point is that I expect you to be nicer to Bella, he says. I've told you before she's special. His expression darkens. I didn't know you to be cruel. The word tastes bitter in her mouth. Don't play dumb. It doesn't suit you. Leo steps closer, attempting to intimidate her. Bella is delicate. Remember that. Before Seline can respond, he waves for her to enter the hotel first. As they step inside, her senses are overwhelmed. Crystal chandeliers glimmer everywhere, walls gilded in gold reflect light like scattered stars, and fountains flow with champagne beside tables laden with extravagant food. The opulence is staggering, exactly the kind of display Leo typically despises. She notices his faint frown as he scans the room. But then, the crowd parts like the Red Sea, revealing Bella. Bella stands there in a dress that makes Selene's breath catch. It clings like liquid gold, cut provocatively low in the back, the front teasing with flashes of skin as she moves. Her friends flutter around her like excited birds, whispering and giggling, occasionally glancing at Selene with knowing smirks. Bella throws herself into Leo's arms with a squeal of delight. "Do you like my dress?" she asks. "Gorgeous," he growls softly, a sound only shifters could hear. "I wanted to wear it while I still could," Bella announces louder, laughing lightly. "Soon, I might not fit such tight things, you know." Leo smirks, his hand sliding over her bare back. "I prefer you in nothing at all. We could arrange that right now." Seline forces herself to stand tall despite the pitying stares directed at her. What kind of Luna allows her mate to behave this way? Across the room, Jace raises his champagne glass to her with a friendly wink. A small knot of tension in her chest eases slightly. Leo steps forward, commanding attention without effort. His voice carries effortlessly through the crowd. "My people, thank you for joining us tonight. And thank you to my beautiful consort for arranging such a spectacular celebration." Selene frowns. This level of extravagance would normally irritate him. Yet he seems almost pleased. "Though I must confess," he continues, his smile turning predatory, "I've already received the greatest gift imaginable this year." He pauses, savoring the moment. "I am to be a father." The words hit Seline like a physical blow. She feels every eye in the room turn to her, waiting for her reaction. Across the crowd, Jace has gone pale, though his expression remains carefully neutral. Bella practically floats to Leo's side when he extends his hand, basking in the spotlight. Dropping to one knee before her, Leo declares, "My miracle," pressing his face to her still flat stomach. "How did I get so lucky to find someone so pure, so perfect?" Each word stabs into Selene's heart. Memories flood back, years of hoping so hard, followed by crushing sadness. The quiet pain of watching her cycle start each month, dealing with Leo growing angrier, and having no space to be sad herself between his disappointment and everyone else judging her. Leo's voice cuts through her thoughts. He's still kneeling before Bella, but his eyes lock onto hers with dangerous intensity. "Aren't you going to congratulate your sister?" The threat in his tone is clear. She knows what he expects. What they all expect, the perfect Luna, gracious even in humiliation. Seline steps forward, her mask of composure firmly in place. "Congratulations," she manages, the word tasting like ash. Bella practically glows with triumph. "I'll be counting on you to help look after her," Leo adds, his tone making it clear this is not a request. After all, what could be more important than the future of our pack? Our pack, Seline thinks bitterly. Like she has any right to call it hers anymore. Like she ever did. Selene escapes the party, though every step brings stares, curious, judging, mocking, and worst of all, pitying. None of it feels real. She'd spent years telling herself that if she couldn't have a baby, it wasn't the right time. When hope hurt too much, she buried those feelings deep. But now those walls are breaking down, and the truth hits her: she'd never be a mother. She never got pregnant, and now her mate barely looks at her, let alone touches her. What hope could she possibly have left? She doesn't realize she's made it to the hotel's roof garden until the cool night air hits her face. She's not sure if she likes the quiet, but it doesn't last long anyway. A familiar scent, sandalwood and night air, tells her of Jace's arrival. It is a while before he speaks. "I can't truly understand, for it's not like I could bear a child myself," he says softly. "But I do know what it's like to worry you'll never be a parent." Seline turns to look at him, surprised. "Some pack members are allowed to mate outside our kind," Jace explains, "but as the alpha's brother, the spare hair, I'm expected to produce pure-blooded leopard children." Seline finishes for him. "Which means your king refuses to let you be with anyone but your fated mate." Jace's mouth becomes a straight line. "Precisely," he says. "And is it not what you want?" Seline asks, not knowing exactly why, only that her heart beats faster as she waits for his answer. "I wouldn't mind fathering a child who wasn't pure leopard," Jace says with a smile, though it isn't a joyful one. "I wish I had the autonomy to choose. But obligations are obligations. I have mine just as you have yours to serve this pack." She whispers, "No matter what," though the words taste bitter now. She sighs, resisting the urge to let her forehead rest on his broad shoulder. God knows she could use the support. Every month I'd tell myself maybe this time, she whispers, holding back a shaky laugh. I'd even convince myself I felt different, you know. There were signs, symptoms that made me think. This is it. This is the moment I become a mother. Seline's words begin to form, but they get caught in her throat, spilling out in a desperate rush instead. Eventually, she couldn't bear it anymore. The hope, she whispers, the crushing disappointment. She trails off, shaking her head. Even lying with him became difficult, she adds sorely, not that I was ever particularly enthusiastic to begin with. You'll be a mother someday, Jace says with surprising conviction. Perhaps, Seline sighs, unconvinced. I do hope so. Just like I hope your fated mate is closer than you think. I doubt that, Jace muses, his expression turning thoughtful. We leopards are born with our soulmate's name marked on our skin. We call them soul marks. What? Seline sits up straighter. I've never heard of this. It isn't something we advertise, Jace explains. It's a bit awkward having somebody else's name tattooed on your body when you're, well, naked with someone else. Heat floods Seline's face as she pictures it, Jace's body marked with mysterious writing, his soulmate's name etched somewhere private. Would it be on his chest, over his heart, or maybe across his hip? There you are. Bella's voice shatters the moment. She appears through the garden archway on Leo's arm, her golden dress catching the light of paper lanterns. The alpha's eyes immediately fix on the small space between Seline and Jace. His nostrils flare slightly as he takes in their proximity, his scent shifting from pine to something sharper, more territorial. Rather than creating distance, Jace shifts subtly closer to Seline and smirks. I was just telling Leo, Bella continues brightly, how wonderful it will be having Seline as an aunt to our baby. Her smile widens. And if Jace can be uncle. The silence that follows feels fragile, like glass about to shatter. But Bella barrels on. We should all go out together sometime. A double date would be so fun, wouldn't it, my love? She turns to Leo expectantly. Since everyone knows about Seline and Jace anyway, she adds silently. Leo's growl cuts through the night air. My Luna, he emphasizes possessive, knows exactly what I expect regarding her fidelity. Bella's confidence falters, but Jace's casual tone belays the predatory grace with which he shifts his weight. If you can have a consort, surely Seline is entitled to the same privileges you enjoy. Seline's heart stops. She tries to catch his eye. But Jace's attention is fixed on Leo, his smile carrying all the deadly playfulness of a cat with a mouse. What are you doing? She wants to scream. Doesn't he understand how dangerous this game is? Leo goes rigid, the scent of aggression rolling off him in waves. But Jace appears utterly unconcerned. If anything, his smile widens. Alpha Bella whimpers, but for once Leo barely seems to notice her. Seline is my Luna, Leo snarls, each word heavy with alpha command. Nobody else will touch her. Why would she even think of straying? Jace's voice turns silk smooth, deadly. Seline grabs Jace's arm in warning, but it's too late. Leo's fury explodes outward, his power pressing against their skin like a physical force. The air crackles with barely contained violence. Waves of alpha dominance rolling off him in torrents. There is no replacement. He roars, his voice more wolf than human. This changes nothing. She is my mate, my Luna. She belongs to me. Jace's own power rises, his smile feral, all teeth and predatory intent. The two males circle each other, neither willing to back down. Any moment now, Seline knows someone will draw first blood. The tension coils tighter, suffocating, until her voice cracks like thunder in the charged air. I won't stand here and watch this ridiculous display of male posturing, she snaps. You would know through our bond if I'd taken a lover, Alpha, just as I've been acutely aware of your activities. And as for you, Jace, she whirls on him, I can speak for myself with my Alpha. I am Luna here. Bella bursts into tears, reaching for Leo. Alpha, please, she gasps, doubling over when he doesn't reply, clutching her stomach. Something's wrong. The baby. How convenient, Jace mutters, though he winces when Seline elbows him in the stomach. Meanwhile, all other concerns forgotten, Leo sweeps Bella into his arms. Hold on, little one, he murmurs, already turning toward the stairs. His gaze locks with Seline's one final time, a clear warning not to stray and to keep pleasing him. Seline watches him disappear, faint tremors running through her. Only once he is gone does she whirl on Jace, her voice shaking with a mix of fury and fear. "What were you thinking?" "I was thinking," Jace says slowly, "that someone needed to show that idiot what he stands to lose by starting a war between our packs. Do you have any idea what you've done? That wasn't your right." Her words burst out like shrapnel. "Then whose right is it?" Jace's eyes flashed dangerously. "His. To parade his pregnant mistress in front of you. To demand your fidelity while he—" "Stop." Seline whirls away from, storming down a path that leads away from the party. Music and laughter fade behind them as she pushes deeper into the hotel's sprawling grounds. But his scent follows, wrapping around her like silk and shadows. "You shouldn't have provoked him like that," she says tightly. "I won't stand by and watch him treat you this way," Jace growls, his voice dropping lower, rougher as they move further from prying eyes. Finally outside the hotel, she tries to push past him toward a secluded grove of weeping willows, but he catches her arm, spinning her back to face him. "Why aren't you angry with him?" he demands. "Why am I the villain here when he's the one who—" "Because he's the alpha." The words tear from her throat. "I'm bound to him, to our pack. Whatever I feel doesn't matter. Don't you see?" "No," she cuts him off sharply, pulling free of his grip. "You don't get to decide how I live or who I answer to. You had no right to interfere." Her chest heaves as she turns away, leaving him standing there amidst the shadows of the trees, the weight of unspoken truths hanging heavy between them. "For everyone's sake, I have no choice but to make this work." "And he does not," Jace snaps, stepping closer. Seline's back hits a tree trunk. "Why does it all fall on you, Seline?" he insists, the moonlight casting dappled shadows across his face. "Why aren't his obligations to the pack as sacred as yours?" The question strikes too close. "My queen," he breathes, "you deserve so much better." "Better than this." Her laugh holds a brittle edge. "You assume to know what I deserve. Am I not your friend?" Jace challenges. "And I suppose you think you're being a good friend right now," Seline snaps. "Yes," Jace whispers, the word ghosting across her lips. He inches closer, hand sliding into her hair as he pulls her against him. "No," he murmurs, and then his mouth claims hers. Her wolf howls in triumph as his scent mingles with hers. The kiss is fire and starlight, need and desperation. Then she steps away and slaps his face hard. Seline stumbles through the hotel's marble lobby, her composure fracturing with each step. His taste still lingers on her lips like a brand. Even now, she can feel the phantom press of his hands, the way his fingers tangled in her hair. How perfectly she fit against him, as if she'd been holding her breath for years and finally remembered how to breathe. "Stop it," she commands herself, but her treacherous mind replays the moment his mouth claimed hers, how right it had felt. She can't think about this. Won't think about this. The night doorman hails a cab, and she practically throws herself into it, needing to escape before Jace follows, before she loses what little resolve she has left. What have I done? Rain begins to fall, droplets racing down the cab's window like tears she refuses to shed. She presses her forehead against the cool glass, watching the city blur past. How could she have been so weak? She'd sworn an oath of fidelity not just to Leo, but to the pack. Their people depend on stability, on the strength of their leader bond. If that bond shatters completely, if neither of them upholds their vows, what example does that set? What chaos might follow? The mansion looms ahead, windows gleaming like judging eyes. Sarah waits at the entrance, concern etched across her features. "My Luna is everything, not now." Seline sweeps past her, past the cluster of staff hovering anxiously in the foyer. Her bedroom door closes behind her with a final sounding click. Only then does Seline allow herself to break. The first sob tears from her throat like something feral. How is she supposed to stay away from him, Jace, with his knowing smirk and gentle heart? Who makes her laugh when she's forgotten how? Who looks at her and sees Selene? Not just the Luna's mask she wears. What does she have left without him? A mate who parades his pregnant mistress before their entire society. A rival who plays at being sister while delighting in her humiliation. A pack whose loyalty shifts like sand, whispering behind their hands about their barren Luna. All this at a life without children, without friendship. Without Jace, the silence feels suffocating. Her voice, rough with tears, sounds foreign even to her own ears. But Seline forces herself to stand. She wasn't chosen as Luna for her ability to wallow in misery. The pack needs her strength now more than ever. Steam fills the bathroom as she steps into the shower, washing away his scent, his touch, the memory of how alive Jace made her feel. When she steps out, wrapped in thick terry cloth, she is Luna once more, or so she tells herself. But the creak of leather from her bedroom makes her freeze. Leo sits in the shadows by her window, moonlight catching on the whiskey bottle dangling from his fingers. She stares at him, his loose tie, his wild hair, a stranger in her private sanctuary. "Why are you here? Shouldn't you be with Bella?" Seline frowns. "What happened? Is everything all right?" "The baby." A bitter laugh cuts through the darkness. "The baby's fine," Leo says, taking a long pull from the bottle. "Touch, how much you suddenly care." Seline stills, counts to 3, then replies evenly. "You think me so cold as to be indifferent to the well-being of an unborn child and its mother?" "I don't know anymore," Leo slurs slightly. "Who even are you, Seline?" "I used to know, but now," his scent grows darker, more feral. "You said earlier," he continued, "that I'd feel it through our bond if you took a lover." For one heartbeat, hope flares within her. Does Leo finally understand what he's put her through? But no, his eyes gleam with accusation. "You never felt quite so elated when I kissed you." He smirks, and his words hit like a physical blow. Seline realizes he'd felt it. Their bond betrayed that moment with Jace, that precious instant when she'd finally felt seen. "Well played, Luna," Leo says, rising unsteadily though his eyes hold a hungry gleam. "I felt every moment of it. Every sensation." His tongue darts out to wet his lips. "You wanted me to feel it, didn't you?" The realization of what he's implying turns her stomach. He thinks she kissed Jace to make him jealous, to get his attention. "Perhaps," she says carefully. "Jace is simply a better kisser." Leo's growl holds something darker than anger now. "Is that what you think?" He crowds her space, the smell of whiskey and arousal rolling off him in waves. "Have you forgotten what it feels like with your alpha, Seline? You should have just said you missed me." His hand slides up her arm. "No need for games, my Luna. I'm here now." The endearment makes her skin crawl. She tries to step back, but he follows, trapping her against the wall. "Let me remind you what a real man can do," he murmurs, his voice dropping lower, trying for seductive but slurred by alcohol. "We could start right now. Show that Leopard what you really belong to." "Shouldn't you be with Bella?" Seline interrupts sharply. He presses a finger to her lips. "Don't talk about her. This is about us. About what you want. What you've been trying to tell me. What I want." A laugh bubbles up in her throat, brittle and hollow. "You haven't cared what I want in years." "That's not true," he insists, framing her face with his hands. "I've always wanted you. You're the one who turned cold." The accusation would have stung once, but now it only leaves her feeling empty. Devastated once, now she just feels tired. When his mouth claims hers, tasting of whiskey and misguided pride, she feels nothing, just a bone-deep weariness and the clear understanding of what needs to be done. She kisses back just enough for Leo to be pliant as she guides him backward toward her bed. Alcohol makes him stumble, but he manages a loud, triumphant chuckle as he sprawls onto the mattress, tie crooked and shirt half untucked. "Show me," he growls, attempting to pull her down with him. "Show your alpha how much you want him." Seline barely restrains herself from rolling her eyes. "I think what the alpha needs is sleep. Sleep can wait." His fingers fumble for her hands, trying to guide them where he wants them. "Need to remind you who you belong to first." Seline stills his wandering hands with practiced ease. "Wait for me here," she whispers. "Let me change into something more appropriate." His growl of approval follows her to her dressing room. By the time she returns, fully clothed in silk pajamas, Leo is half asleep, mumbling about all the things he plans to do to her. Seline sighs, settling beside him. His possessive display might have thrilled her, proof that he still wanted her, still cared. Now, she just finds it ridiculous. She touches her lips where he kissed her, surprised by how little she feels. "Would you rather it was Jace?" Leo slurs, surprising her. She thought him properly passed up, but he rolls to press his face against her thigh, hands fisting in her silk pants. "I want him gone from my territory by morning," he says. Seline says nothing, though her wolf whimpers at the thought. "Did you hear me, Luna?" All pretense of seduction has vanished, leaving only the wounded alpha. She meets his gaze unflinching. "As you command." Leo stares at her for a long moment, as if trying to make sure his victory is total. How fitting, she thinks. That even now he takes up space that should be hers, demanding comfort while giving none in return. If he isn't gone, he murmurs, eyes glassy, I'll have him killed. Michael be damned. I know. Seline starts to rise, but he pulls her back down, resting his head in her lap like a demanding child. Her fingers comb through his hair mechanically as his breathing grows heavier. She knows Jace will have to leave. Leo won't let this challenge to his authority stand. The thought makes her chest ache. She closes her eyes, imagining dark waves sliding through her fingers, midnight blue eyes looking up at her with that dangerous sparkle. But when she opens them again, it's just Leo, finally passed out in her lap. Seline slowly rises from the bed, away from Leo, unable to stand his touch a moment longer. She sighs, gazing through her window. By tomorrow, everyone would know the Alpha had spent the night in the Luna's suite. By tomorrow, Jace would be gone. But wait, there's movement in the gardens. A silhouette dressed in white moves through the foliage, sneaking. Seline thinks she might not have cared if it wasn't for the fact that this person was sneaking. But why? An enemy? A spy? From here, she cannot see the face obscured by shadows until it steps into the moonlight. Finally, Seline recognizes her. It's Bella. Bella, who is supposed to be asleep in her room. Bella, who looks around as though expecting someone. Unbeknownst to Seline, Bella only has a few months left to live. Seline narrows her eyes. Bella moves with a grace too practiced to be accidental, her bare shoulders gleaming as she pauses to glance over her shoulder. What is she up to? Her wolf stirs, protective instincts rising. Could Bella be in trouble somehow? Earlier, she'd left the festivities complaining of pain. But now there's no trace of vulnerability in her purposeful movements. Seline moves to the hidden servants' passage behind her wardrobe, her pulse quickening with every quiet step. The cool stone walls press close around her as she descends, the musty scent of age lingering in the air. Emerging near the rose garden, she stops to orient herself. The night air is cool against her skin, but Bella's scent, always sweetly cloying, is absent. Seline breathes deeper, catching faint traces of vanilla and something artificial beneath the void, as if Bella had deliberately masked herself. Clever, Seline thinks, but not clever enough. She follows the faint trail, her steps light and soundless. Then, movement above catches her eye, a shadow darker than the night itself flows across the mansion's roof with liquid grace. Her breath catches as she realizes what she's seeing, a leopard, massive and sleek, moving against the midnight sky. The great cat pauses at the roof's edge, moonlight catching in its fur. Even from this distance, Seline can see how the silver light traces each powerful line of muscle, how it glints off eyes that seem to hold fragments of twilight. The leopard's gaze finds hers unerring, and her heart skips. She would know those eyes anywhere. With fluid grace, the leopard launches itself from the roof, landing on a nearby oak branch without a sound. It descends the trunk in a controlled slide that speaks of years of practice. When its massive paws touch the ground, Seline finds herself holding her breath. She's seen other shifters in their animal forms before, of course, but this is different. Jace moves like a living shadow, each step precise and deadly. His shoulders easily reach her waist, his sleek coat rippling with barely contained power as he approaches. She catches his scent, sandalwood in the midnight air, unchanged even in this form. Evening, my queen. Seline startles as his voice echoes in her mind, rich with that familiar hint of amusement. She had known they could communicate this way. Telepathic bonds usually only work between packmates or mates. How are you doing this? She projects the thought cautiously. The leopard's whiskers twitch in what she swears is a smirk. Leopards have always been better at mines than wolves. One of our many talents. Even in this form, she can hear the playful edge in his mental voice, though something in his tone suggests there's more to it. Posture betraying tension, his tail lashes once, revealing agitation that his usual mischievous facade can't quite conceal. What a coincidence, running into you, my queen. Is it a coincidence? She asks softly, admiring how the moonlight turns his coat to silk. No, he admits. His mental voice lacks its usual playful lilt. Seline never thought she'd find so much wrongness in the set of a great cat's shoulders. In the way his ears flatten slightly, wrong for its bitter sweetness, and wrong because it might be the last time she sees him at all. Even now, his presence makes her heart skip, something she can no longer deny, not after that kiss. She finds herself wanting to run her fingers through his midnight fur, To feel if it's as soft as it looks. Why did you have to kiss me? The words escape heavy with regret. The leopard's ears prick forward. That bad. Seline snorts. You know that's not what I meant. Emotions hang thick in the air between them. Seline wants to confess he makes her feel herself again. His presence has become the favorite part of her days, but instead, she says resignedly, Leo wants you gone by morning. The leopard goes still, every line of his powerful body tensing. His tail lashes once sharp and agitated, but she won't hear his protests. He felt it, she explains hurriedly, because if he did start protesting, she doesn't know if she could muster the strength to berate him for it. Felt what? Jace asks, tilting his massive head in a gesture so feline it makes her heart ache. Or kiss, she murmurs, the words barely above a whisper. Jace says nothing for a long while. He paces in a tight circle, his movements fluid despite his obvious agitation. He is so close. And yet the furthest he's ever been, the impossible weight of duty standing between them. I'll take comfort in you acknowledging it was our kiss. At least, he says eventually. He sounds resigned. Is this it? It has to be. She's the one telling him to go, and she knows why she's doing it. She also knows she doesn't actually want him to go. But you should leave tonight. Seline forces herself to meet those twilight eyes. It would be safer. The leopard's muscles bunch as if to move toward her, but she takes a step back, though every fiber of her being screams to do the opposite. It doesn't have to be like this. His mental voice is rough with emotion. It does, though. You know it does. Seline lowers her gaze. We cannot risk conflict arising between our packs over passing. She gestures vaguely between them. I assure you, there's nothing passing about my feelings for you. Jace retorts, his mental tone full of barely restrained passion. It takes everything Seline has not to reach for him. We must think of our people, she says. This is not about. It's never going to be about us. I don't have to leave right away, he protests. You speak of our people. But haven't we done good working towards an alliance between our packs, an alliance which is close to crashing down before it was ever even set? You don't know Leo like I do, Jace, Seline implores. Hurt, but he's impulsive. If you offend his pride any further, he could very well declare war on your pack. Would you really subject your people to that? The leopard's tail lashes in agitation as the truth of her words sinks in. So we let the bully win. Is that what you suggest? Seline challenges. Her voice cracks slightly. Don't make this more difficult than it already is. The great cat's muscles go rigid. But he briefly closes those twilight eyes as if to resolve himself to what Seline is asking of him. 1 minute, he murmurs in her mind. Give me 1 minute. When she doesn't refuse, he moves closer, though he doesn't touch her. He lifts his massive head to her neck, breathing her in as if committing her scent to memory. Celine's eyes flutter closed, fighting back tears as his presence surrounds her sandalwood and midnight air. Everything she can never have. Is this truly what you want? His breath ghosts across her skin. Yes, she whispers, the lie tasting like ashes. The leopard straightens. The loss of his warmth immediate and devastating. Very well, he projects, inclining his noble head. I will do as my queen commands. As he turns to leave, she finds her voice one last time. I hope you find your fated mate, Jace. He stops, his powerful form rigid in the moonlight. Seline, his mental voice caresses her name. I wish it was your name I'd been marked with. For a moment she thinks he might turn back. Instead, he melts into the shadows like mist, leaving nothing but the lingering scent of sandalwood and midnight air, as if he was never there at all. Seline stands frozen, each heartbeat an exercise in not running after him. When she finally moves, it's to seek Bella's trail again, not because she particularly cares what the girl is doing anymore, but because she cannot bear to return to her rooms where Leo sleeps, not with the ghost of Jace's almost touch still burning on her skin. The garden gives way to the forest, shadows deepening around her. The air shifts, carrying a tantalizing mix of musk, sweat, and something sharper, the unmistakable tang of desire. Then she hears it. A low, breathless gasp breaks through the quiet, followed by a deep, masculine chuckle. The sound sends a ripple of unease down her spine. Her wolf focuses on instinct, sharpening her vision. To Seline's horror, through a tangle of branches, she sees Bella pressed against the rough bark of an ancient oak, her white dress rucked high on her thighs. A man is with her, holding her up, shushing her bare skin, his hands fisted in her golden curls. Seline stiffens. This is me's bodyguard. The last time she'd seen him, he was challenging her authority during Bella's heat. Now his lips move possessively against Bella's neck, trailing down to her exposed collarbone. Mine, he growls, the word thick with primal need. Say it, Bella, she gasps, her head falling back against the tree. Shut up and hurry, she whispers before someone. Her words dissolve into appreciative sounds that make Celine's cheeks burn with consternation. Your precious alpha may have money, Ain taunts. But does he make you feel as good as this? His hands move with rough familiarity, sliding down Bella's sides as her fingers claw at his back. The sounds of their union fill the clearing primal and unrestrained. Well, the man insists. Does he in? Bella's voice holds desperation. Yes, say my name, baby. Go on. Her tone shifts to a breathless plea. Right there, don't stop. Leave him, Ein, Seline hears through gritted teeth. Be with me instead. Bella laughs, breathless and mocking. And trade everything I've worked for your penniless ass. Seline turns away abruptly, unable to stomach any more. The scent of lust hangs heavy in the air, a cloying mixture of sweat and musk that churns her stomach. You're just his mistress, Anne, groans Bella, her voice closer to the edge now. Not even his Luna. Seline forces herself to move slowly despite the wet slap of flesh against flesh echoing behind her. She longs to escape, but Bella's sharp cries follow her like a curse as the girl reaches her peak. Then comes silence, broken only by panting. For a moment, Seline thinks it might finally be over until Bella's voice cuts through the haze like a blade. For now, Bella says softly, cruelly, but that won't last. Just wait and see, I'll be Luna soon enough. The words hit Seline with the force of a physical blow. What does she mean? Her nails dig into her palms as she steps back, snapping a twig beneath her foot. The sharp crack shatters the stillness, reverberating through the quiet night like a gunshot. Panic jolts down her spine. Seline freezes, her breath caught in her throat, heart pounding so loudly she fears it might betray her. She listens intently, the sounds of the forest closing in around her. For a moment, there's nothing, just the faint rustle of leaves in the breeze and the distant hum of Bella and Ain's voices. They haven't heard, not yet. Move, her wolf urges her forward. Instinct sharpens with fear, driving her need for escape. Taking a cautious step back, she tests the ground for noise. Nothing. Another step, her body taut with tension, gaze darting between the tangled shadows of the trees. She slips silently into the cover of the underbrush, movements careful and deliberate. Her heart races as she weaves through the forest, damp earth soft beneath her feet. Every crackle of dried leaves or whisper of wind makes her flinch. The thick scent of moss and bark mingles with the fading traces of Bella's perfume, clinging to her as she puts distance between herself and the clearing. But then something changes. The air grows heavier, the forest unnaturally still. The faint rustle of leaves she'd used as cover falls silent, replaced by an oppressive quiet that prickles the back of her neck. Seline stops, instincts screaming. The hair on her arms rises as her wolf growls low, in her mind a warning. Slowly she turns, pulse spiking. The shadows around her seem thicker now, shifting, closing in. And then she hears it, a soft, deliberate sound. The crunch of leaves echoes behind her, followed by a low snarl that sends a chill down her spine. She pushes harder, legs burning as she sprints through the trees, dodging branches clawing at her hair and dress. Suddenly, strong arms encircle her from behind, halting her momentum. Trapped in an unyielding grip, a hand clamps over her mouth, rough and calloused, stifling her scream. She struggles, twisting and clawing, but it's futile. Well, what do we have here? Unhand me. Seline's voice carries the weight of her authority as Luna, though muffled by his palm. Ain's laugh is cold, devoid of warmth. So you can run straight to the alpha with what you've seen? I think not. Bella emerges from the shadows, her dress askew, lips swollen. Something calculating gleams in her eyes as she takes in the scene. My, I didn't think you were such a voyeur, Seline. Her smile sharpens. Though, I suppose with no one to entertain you these days. Seline's calm cuts through Bella's mockery. Your alpha is currently passed out in my bed. The color drains from Bella's face. You wouldn't dare tell him. Her voice wavers between threat and plea. Seline refuses to show fear despite Anne's bruising grip. Something shifts in Bella's expression, desperation bleeding through her mask of innocence. Seline should have remembered. Trapped wolves always go for the throat. Or I'll tell him you hired Anne to assault me, Bella blurts, triumph blazing in her eyes. To terrorize his precious consort. As if anyone would believe you, Seline begins, but Enan interrupts, his voice low and dangerous. Tell them exactly how you approached me, offered me money to sully the Alpha's consort. Ice floods Seline's veins. Ian isn't just threatening, he means every word. His loyalty to Bella runs deeper than reason or self-preservation. I may be desperate for coin, he continues, but what's your excuse, Luna? Paying to harm an innocent woman. How despicable. You'd really do this? She asks quietly. Even knowing I'm carrying another man's child. His grip tightens painfully. I'd do anything for Bella, he snarls. And our child. Horror crashes through Seline as she meets Bella's gaze, finding only smug satisfaction there. See you at breakfast tomorrow, sister. Bella steps close, patting Seline's cheek with mock affection. Her voice drops to a whisper. And stay away from Leo. I don't like sharing my things. An releases Seline with a rough shove, already moving to Bella's side like a loyal guard dog. They disappear into the shadows together, leaving Seline alone with the weight of what she's discovered. Though that weight was soon to come crashing down. And Bella would lose her life in the process. 4 months pass like honey dripping from a spoon, slow, sticky, and impossible to rush. The seasons turn. Leaves falling golden from the trees. Still, Seline wakes each morning with the ghost of sandalwood and midnight air lingering in her dreams. Today, the gardens have the venue has been transformed into a pastel wonderland for Bella's baby shower. Gauzy fabric drapes between towering flower arrangements. Crystal chandeliers hang impossibly from tree branches, and tables groan under the weight of elaborate cakes and delicate pastries, each crafted to match the pink and cream color scheme Bella meticulously specified. As Luna Seline, she could hardly refuse any of the requests, what Leo's consort wants. She gets, especially now with her belly swollen beneath flowing silk, every glimpse of it making their alpha practically glow with pride. Seline surveys the gathering, noting the smaller than expected turnout. Bella's mood has grown increasingly sharp as each hour brings new excuses from invited pack members. Even now, her smile holds an edge as she turns to Seline, eyes wide with practiced innocence. This is too much, Seline, Bella gushes, gesturing at the elaborate decorations. You should have told Leo not to spoil me so. I really don't need all this. Behind her, Anne looms like a storm cloud, his scowl deepening with each simpered word. Seline doubts he enjoys watching Bella play happy family with Leo any more than she enjoys arranging it, but they're hardly going to commiserate. Perhaps Luna Seline likes to live vicariously through you, my lady. Fianna's voice carries deliberately across the garden. After all, she's never going to have a baby shower held in her honor, will she? Bella's face crumples into an expression that might be concern. Well, if you think doing this for me helps her feel better, then I guess I shouldn't worry about how much of our charity budget went into this instead of to the orphanages. Her eyes fill with tears. I mean, I want nothing more than for my dear older sister to get closure, but I just can't help but think of the poor children. No budget was cut, Lady Bella. I assure you, Seline sips her tea, letting the scalding liquid burn away her retort. Please enjoy your party free of guilt. Bella's answering smile is all edges. Sharp enough to draw blood. Her supposed concern for orphan children rings as hollow as everything else about her. Seline scans the crowd for Leo. Unsurprised by his absence, she's barely seen him these past 3 months. Though the ache of his neglect pales in comparison to the constant hollow beneath her ribs where Jace's laughter used to leave. The baby will give hope and joy to their pack, she reminds herself, watching Bella pat her swollen belly, even if its parentage is not what everyone believes. Sarah approaches through the crowd, her expression grave as she hands Seline a thick envelope. For you, my Luna, she murmurs, giving Seline a heavy glance to open it in private. Seline frowns. If this was meant to be private, why bring it here in the public eye? Sarah knows better, the matter must truly be urgent. She glimpses down at the letter, fingers tracing the Leopard pack's seal, red wax perfect and unbroken. Seline's heart stutters. I will be just a moment, she excuses herself, albeit not as smoothly as she normally would. The weight of the letter feels ominous in her hands as she searches for a quiet spot, eventually finding refuge beneath a weeping willow. The expensive paper is heavy, formal, and final, a death notice, she thinks. Her fingers tremble as the letter crumples slightly in her grasp. She has seen enough of these in her role as Luna, the formal seal, the careful calligraphy of her name. This is how they announce death. But why would they notify her? Her throat tightens around the thought she can't complete. The envelope now feels like lead, and though she commands herself to open it, her hands shake uncontrollably. Breaking the seal with unsteady fingers, she reads the first line. "We regret to inform you." The words blur before her eyes. She cannot bear to see the name that might shatter her world, the image of a beloved face forever still. Twilight eyes closed, that quicksilver smile silenced. It steals her breath away. "Luna," Sarah's voice breaks through her spiraling thoughts. The Alpha hasn't been informed yet. Seline doesn't respond, her mind swirling with thoughts of him, Jace. They haven't spoken since that moonlit night when she sent him away. She had sustained herself by imagining him happy, throwing his devastating smirk at his older brother, perhaps even finding a fated mate. "My Luna," Sarah insists. "Perhaps you should warn him." "Warn him," Seline repeats numbly, processing the news of Alpha Michael's death. "Your mate will be expected to comment." At first. The name doesn't register, but then it hits her. Frantically scanning the rest of the letter, she confirms it announces the passing of the Leopard pack's Alpha after his long illness. Relief washes over her, leaving her dizzy. Jace must be devastated. Alpha Michael had no heirs, Sarah points out carefully, which means his younger brother will inherit the title. Given Jace's strained relationship with Alpha Leo, this complicates matters further. Seline steadies herself against the willow's trunk. "Yes, I'll speak to him," she murmurs, moving toward the mansion, leaving behind Bella's carefully crafted fantasy of domestic bliss. Her heart races with relief tinged with grief, not for Michael, if she's honest, but for the pain Jace must feel. Her footsteps echo in the empty corridor as she heads toward Leo's office, her mind spinning. Jace no. Alpha Jace now, how is he handling losing a brother while inheriting a pack full of troubles all at once? She resolves to write to him. Let him know her heart is with him during this difficult time. A treacherous whisper flits through her mind forever, but she pushes it aside. Voices drift from Leo's partially open door. Her mate isn't alone, she recognizes Kendrick's measured tones. "Does Luna Seline know about this?" the beta asks. Leo's answering growl carries clear warning. "I'd like the matter clarified before I tell her." Seline pauses, frowning. Something in their tone makes her wolf's ears perk up. As it stands, Kendrick continues cautiously. "I've never heard of mating being broken without the second party's approval. You mean there's no way around getting Seline on board?" Leo snaps, the words hitting like physical blows. Broken bonds. Surely they're not talking about that. Surely Leo cannot be thinking about breaking his bond with Seline. "Luna. Seline would have to accept your rejection," Kendrick replies evenly, "and reject you back." "I will speak to her." Leo's impatience is palpable. "It's probably best I let her know about this first before telling Bella." "You don't think Lady Bella will want to replace Seline as Luna?" Leo's snort carries through the door. "Bella will do what I think is best. I'm not worried about her. But making Seline understand this is what the pack needs. That it's necessary to make my child an official heir." "You really think she has no idea?" Kendrick interrupts. "She doesn't suspect. Seline has eyes and ears all over this place." Leo's voice rises. "If she doesn't know of my intentions already, she will soon." "Then the sooner you speak with her and secure her approval, the better." Footsteps approach the door, they're coming, they'll see her. Seline flees, knowing her scent will betray her presence anyway, but needing these precious moments to process. Her mind whirls with implications, the pack's stability, the alliances she's cultivated, the thought of Bella wielding a Luna's power. But her heart swells at the idea of freedom, and she cannot help it. The word tastes like possibility, like everything she's forbidden herself to want. Freedom means being able to see Jace again, and there's nothing to stop the elation from growing in her chest at the thought. Such elation, though, is not meant to last. When Seline returns to the gardens, its tranquility has shifted into a sea of chaos. A small crowd forms around what used to be the centerpiece of the celebration, Bella's seat. Seline smells distress, a sharp scent filling the air, and hears the sounds of unanswered questions echoing with gasps around the gardens. She approaches, dazed by it all. Michael's death, her impending dethronement, this unexplainable agitation. And then it happens. "It was you." Someone screams. someone Seline recognizes as Fiona. She hears before she sees her, but then the crowd spreads apart as she approaches, wide stares falling onto Seline, freezing her in place. That is when she smells it, the unmistakable cloying scent of death. Someone has died. Bella lies at the center of the crowd, her head on Anne's lap, face pale and still. In her hand is the silver cup, chosen carefully by Seline, glinting accusingly in the afternoon sun. "It was you." Fiona screams again, and this time Seline does see her, her eyes crazed and wild. She touched that cup and collapsed. "You killed her." That is when Seline's mind finally registers that the lady-in-waiting is pointing right at her, that it is her, Seline, that Fiona is accusing of murder. And seeing the fleeting glances of the surrounding crowd, nobody plans to defend her. Neither the guests nor the staff, neither her friends nor Bella's. And certainly not her mate, whose thundering roar suddenly splits the air. Cracks slice through the air like a whip. Leo gathers Bella's lifeless form in his arms, her golden head resting against his chest. "No one leaves," he commands, his voice raw. "Guards, bring the Luna. Stay here until questioned." The healer's chamber feels too bright, too sterile for the darkness gathering in Leo's eyes as he lays Bella on the examination table. The head healer barely needs a moment. One glance at the blackened corner of Bella's lips tells the story. "Poison," she confirms grimly. "I'll need a few hours to determine which one." Leo dismisses everyone but Seline. His pacing is that of a caged animal, grief and fury rolling off him in waves. The silence stretches, charged with decades of unspoken grievances. "I'm sorry for your loss," Seline offers quietly. At that, Leo whirls on her, eyes crazed. "Did you do it?" he barks. Seline frowns. "Is he joking?" "Did you?" Leo thunders. "How can you even ask me that?" Seline shakes her head, a mix of stupor and disappointment. "Why would I even do something like this?" "Because you knew," Leo snaps, his laugh devoid of warmth. "You knew about my plans to reject our bond, didn't you?" When Seline remains silent, his fist slams into the wall. "Don't lie to me." "Yes, I knew," Seline says, keeping her voice steady. "But I wouldn't kill Bella over it, or anyone." "Of course not," Leo sneers. "After all, the cold-hearted Seline is always above it all, isn't she? How could I even think you'd care about our broken bond?" Her fingers curl into fists. "Why is it that I can do nothing right with you?" she argues. "I accept your decision and I'm cold and unloving. I don't accept it and I'm a murderer." "Well, which is it then?" Leo looks as though he wants to retort but has no clear idea what to say. She doesn't give him the chance. "All I've ever done is be loyal to you. To this pack. I've stood by you, supported you. I was the perfect Luna. And what if I wanted a mate instead?" The words explode from him. Years of resentment spilling out. Someone warm, someone loving, instead of a cold, calculating woman who undermines me at every turn. He turns to Bella's lifeless form, his face crumbling. "She was loving," he murmurs, caressing her cheek. "The way she looked at me, the things she'd say to me." Understanding crashes over Seline like ice water. All these years, all this time. She'd worked to help him achieve his goals, bolstering his pride with her quiet competence, but in doing so, she'd made him feel unnecessary. By standing beside him instead of behind him, she'd threatened the very thing he needed most, to feel powerful, needed in control. "What a fool I've been," she thinks. All she'd needed to do was smile prettily, pretend his every decision was brilliant beyond her comprehension, rule while pretending she didn't, help while feigning helplessness, speak truth only in the form of praise. "I was going to reject the bond for just a year," Leo continues, running a hand through his hair. "Just long enough to legitimize the baby. Then I'd have taken you back." His eyes meet hers, almost pleading. "I know you're the better Luna." The word feels bitter in Seline's mouth. Murder. The murder of a woman and her unborn child. How could anyone believe her capable of such a thing? Her chest tightens under the weight of the accusation. After a decade of devotion, how does she find herself met only with suspicion? "If not you, then who?" Leo's voice cuts through the tension. He shakes his head, frustration simmering. "Who would dare attempt this on my territory? Who could harm my consort under my watch? Who but you, Seline?" Her mouth snaps shut as realization dawns. This isn't about her at all. Like everything else, it circles back to Leo's ego. He needs the formidable Luna Seline to be guilty, because admitting his consort was harmed under his protection would make him appear weak. Better to accuse his brilliant cunning mate then confront the failure to safeguard what was his. We don't even know what killed her yet, she counters. There's no proof. His coldness stuns her. Your ruthlessness truly knows no bounds, does it? He interjects. She's barely gone and already you're strategizing. The accusation strikes deep, but she holds firm. My level-headedness doesn't make me a killer, Leo. Something in her tone reaches him, his shoulders slump. You're right, he whispers, suddenly looking aged. She was so young and the baby. I am sorry, Seline says softly, meaning it, for a fleeting moment. Understanding passes between them, a glimpse of the partnership they might have shared if pride and duty hadn't twisted their bond. The door bursts open, shattering the fragile calm. A guard stands there, face pale, hand trembling as he holds out a delicate crystal vial. Even from across the room, Seline catches the acrid scent of nightshade. We found this hidden beneath the Luna's floorboards, the guard reports. The healers confirm it matches the poison that killed Lady Bella. And there's more, the guard adds, producing a leather-bound journal filled with precise notations about toxins and their effects. This was in the Luna's room too. Seline stares at the evidence, shaking her head. No, I've never seen this before in my life, Leo. You have to believe me. But Leo's eyes have already shifted to molten gold, his wolf rising with murderous intent. Seize her, he orders, his voice brimming with anger and something disturbingly close to triumph.